Welcome back. It's the penultimate episode of the series and a year of beginnings and endings. The family had got through the heaviest pandemic years with, thankfully, neither us nor our elderly relatives having any serious brushes with COVID. But the virus hadn't become the source of all sickness overnight. And early in March of this year, my dad was taken very ill, necessitating a trip home at extremely short notice. He was set to undergo an emergency operation, and there were concerns that he wouldn't make it through. Thankfully, the surgery was successful, and my dad was recovered enough to be home by Easter. He still has some longer-term health issues to contend with, but this was a proper life-threatening medical event, so yeah, a lucky escape. Onto those beginnings and endings. I'll do the ending first. Michelle's mum passed away in mid-October 2022. Her dementia had progressed significantly during the 16 months or so that she'd been in residential care. Another fall at the start of September had resulted in another hip break. By now extremely frail, she started refusing food and fluids shortly after being released back to the care home, and things progressed pretty quickly after that. She spent her last few days heavily sedated, made as comfortable as possible, but really by that point, her passing was a blessing. From there on to the beginning. So between those two events, and my dad being taken ill in March and Ivy's death in October, I finally got discellany off the ground. Maybe it was the shock of nearly losing my dad, I'm not sure, but the rough plans I'd started to hatch during the lockdown years, 2021, they kicked up a gear, and I began shooting videos over the summer months. Just to lay my cards out here, I knew nothing. I was working with the most basic of camera equipment, no lighting, no scripts, no idea basically. The first videos were all in my 90s Overlooked and Heard series, which was my response to the kind of creeping narrative drift that seemed to be taking hold within the media and in critical circles regarding 90s music. Watching those videos back now is a little painful, to be honest. Almost no editing, hesitant delivery, slow pacing, all talk, no visuals. A few of them still get some clicks, some traffic to this day. I'm very happy to see the God Machine still have their fans out there. But really, they were just the icebreaker for me. I'd never done anything like this before. Talks and presentations were my least favourite aspect of work. But I kind of got a kick out of the whole creative cycle that came with video creation. And what do you know, I'm still here, hopefully getting better at this and still enjoying the challenges it throws my way. Most of them, this series being a prime example, being entirely of my own devising. On then with the music, and here's where I go super brief and direct you towards my old end of year roundup for 2022. My nearly choices are drawn from that video. The first of those being Stump Work by Dry Cleaning. Politely wonky, melodic post-punk with the addition of the surreal near spoken word vocals of Florence Shaw. Strange, cut-up, observational stuff that mixes the humdrum with an intensely non-linear interior voice that atomizes a straight lyrical reading into bobbing little clumps of semi-meaning. A great record that may take uninitiated listeners a few plays to get a handle on. That was my experience anyway. Stick with it. The music begins to solidify around the vocals, and suddenly it's all there. Trust me. And next up, the Ruby Chord by Richard Dawson. A big record, big concepts. Dare I say it, a little prog, but much more of the kind of spooked folk horror style of prog than that widdly mix of time signatures and barely concealed superiority complexes. Treat it like a piece of world building, a doorstop of a fantasy novel, and let it work itself into your consciousness. Just a tremendous piece of work that happens to be front-loaded with an album-length track to sort the men out from the boys. Just like Stump Work, the Ruby Chord requires a little commitment to get off the ground. The rewards, however, are worth the investment. My choice for 2022 is another that I talked about in that old year-end video. But for me, this is the record of that period that has stuck with me the longest by far. Still in regular rotation, it's one of those albums that reveals more and more detail the deeper you dig. It's Pompeii by Cate Le Bon. And as with the other records this time out, I'm keeping this tighter than normal, as befitting what is recent rather than ancient history. I'd urge you to consider this alongside her 2019 release Reward as a loose kind of diptych, drawing on similar tonal palettes and instrumentation, with Reward being a little more focused and introspective, and Pompeii looser and more playful. The touchstones again are Bowie in his aloof mid-70s pomp, that detached distance, a lens for self-examination and analysis, and Rough Trade's turn of the 80s post-punk aesthetic. Think rickety, early Scritty, the shadowy hesitance of the Raincoats, the clockwork minimalism of Young Marble Giants, heck, even Robert Wyatt during his tenure on the label. There's a stronger pop edge to Pompeii too. Tracks like Moderation and Remembering Me use all of Le Bon's trusted elements, but add slippery, snagging choruses, vocal hooks that pull the contents together into a less elusive whole. Nowhere is this more evident than Harbour, a standout here, which revels in a is it or isn't it kind of synth line, which is a dead ringer or something from It's My Life, period talk talk, only for the tightly pegged time signature to draw the song into a cycling repetition that's as maddeningly Moorish as it is offbeat. It's kind of like a weird flavour that you can't make your mind up about, but which you're compelled to try over and over again. But where the hooks are less obvious are the songs which demonstrate Cate's weirdly simultaneous way with arrangement. It often feels like each instrument is sitting in its own little musical pocket, a periodic burst of sax over here, some wildly chorused guitar over there, the drums of Stella Mozgawa of Warpaint ratcheting away and leaving dropout gaps for other sounds to peek through. But it's an illusion of distance and space which resolves itself. You sense the relationships going on, and, like staring at a magic eye picture, the whole image suddenly snaps into view. A really cool trick deployed everywhere with stunning effect. It's the bass, if anything, that's the glue here, pulling on as many melodic strings as rhythmic ones throughout the album. Clearly a record written bass first, and once you spot that, you can appreciate the way things are constructed. Everything from the hesitant uncoiling of Opener, Dirt on the Bed, to the fractal sachet of French Boys, or the swooning trickle of the Sublime running away. Everything makes sense. I think part of the fun of this record is the getting it. It would rather keep a few secrets from you. So, like a hidden level in a video game, your own exploration yields rewards you feel that you've earned. That's not something you get with a lot of records. How cool is that? 2022, last but one episode, and it's Cate Le Bon's Pompeii. I love this record. Please let me know what you think of it, or if you've got a choice for your record of 2022. Yeah, as ever, let's talk about it down below the line. Once again, you've reached the end of the video. Please think about giving it a like if you've enjoyed it. And why not think about subscribing if you haven't done so already? Yeah, one to go. I hope to see you back here very soon. Please do take care in the meantime, and bye for now.